Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you are bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that has forsaken its usual clever and pithy opening line to say, rest in peace, Meatloaf, rest in peace. I am your host, the deeply saddened Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend that won't do that, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing tonight?
I'm here, and I'm not sure what I won't do, but there's probably a good reason that I either won't do it or said meh in relation to being asked to do it. So yes, rest in peace, Meatloaf. And, well, we are on the topic of stealing topic number 6. May Louis Anderson rest in peace as well. Passing away, damn it, the same day you take 2 of them. It's week 2. What did I say? Another damned dirty week, a death debacle in the universe. So, more laughs have been killed in the past 2 weeks than anything else. So, very saddened by that as well. Louis C.K., not who we're talking about. He hasn't died, just so you know. I'm sure there was some Facebook rumor going around that he had also died, having people confused of Louis C.K. and Louis Anderson, even though they look nothing alike and their names just aren't even really that similar. But there you go. That is a breaking report from your friends here at Triple B. Because I think he also killed some laughs, but not recently. Anyway, Howie Blues. It's good to be back on the show. Did you like that little tangent that we went on there? It's like a little unnecessary trip.
Well, Kidder, it was one of those things like I really busy day at work, hadn't seen the news or anything. And so I had a completely different opening line for this particular episode. And after dinner tonight, Lefty was reading the news while I was playing with Junior, and she told me that Meatloaf died, and I immediately came up with the new line because to me that was some big news. I big fan of Meatloaf. In fact, I was thinking about it just again after hearing, but I Kidder, for the longest time have kept a playlist on my iPod. It's called my Black Hills playlist, and it's because growing up in the Black Hills, I have so many memories of traveling through the hills with my parents and listening to their music in between the stuff we kids wanted to listen to. And so I have this playlist, and it's all music from my parents. So it's got a few songs from Yes, the Moody Blues greatest hits, the greatest hits of Huey Lewis and the News, and Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. And these were songs that I grew up listening to going through the hills. And I still, to this day, if I go through the Black Hills, that's the playlist I play. Like, I have it saved just in case I go through the Black Hills. And, Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell album, I know a couple weeks ago I talked about my concept of the perfect album, an album where you love every track. That is a perfect album. I love every track on there. In fact, I was listening to some Meatloaf tonight, and Paradise by the Dashboard Light came on, and I knew like every word of it, even though I probably haven't listened to the song in a couple of years. So, yeah, so it was just one of those things. Sad to hear that he has passed and such, but at least I still have the tunes and I can jam out to them whenever I want. So, yeah.
The music lives forever, much like all of these shows that we have recorded and will continue to record. The difference is that we haven't made any money off of it, and nobody's going to watch these after we die. So, thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Beer, Blues, and BS. We're on a positive note tonight. You can visit us at beerbluesbs.com. In fact, that's how positive we are. Please check out our website. Visit it right now, beerbluesbs.com. And while you're on our website, you can peruse the many things to do, like find the YouTube page, check out the merchandise store. Yes, get yourself some sweet swag, or perhaps join us on the Facebook as well. That's all available for you right now at beerbluesbs.com.
Yeah, good stuff there. Good stuff on our Facebook page. You never know when something's going to pop up. Like today, Kidder, it's kind of interesting because, yes, today, episode 42 dropped. But this morning, there was a surprise episode of Howard's Cave of Wonder that showed up, which is kind of funny because when people listen to this last week's episode 43, we talked about, well, you're probably wondering why you haven't seen an episode of Howard's Cave of Wonder in a while. And, it's like, just go back a week and there's one. But it was on a topic on a Kickstarter that's out and only had 13 days. I'm like, I don't got time to wait. I wanted to get it out there and such. So, yeah. But if you weren't following us on our Facebook page, or subscribe to us on YouTube, you probably didn't see it. Yeah. So
that's a good reason to smash that sub button. You don't have to click the notifications. Just subscribe to our channel, please. YouTube, search Beer, Blues, and BS, and BS, yes, and BS, right there on YouTube. Please join us there and everywhere. Smash the sub button. We appreciate it. One more subscription, or subscriber, I should say, to getting us closer to making 2 cents off of every video. So thanks.
Well, Kidder,
we'll be 4 cents richer for the two of us watching these episodes.
I was going to say, okay. Kidder, we started this episode on a dour note, which is kind of sad because I think we both came in on a positive note. At least I did. I'm feeling good. It's Friday night. We're here. And you know what? We're here. Let's drink some beer. Let's find out what's on tap.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. From my understanding, we have a round purchased for us tonight. Is that correct, Howard Blues?
That is correct. We have a sponsor for tonight's What's on Tap. I was actually going to let you introduce this, Kidder, because you know the gentleman more than I do who bought this round.
Sure.
So why don't you introduce at least him and that, and hey, tell us what you're drinking as part of that round.
Well, that is correct there, Howie Blues. This week, a buy us a beer. First timer, Don D, or the Triple D on the Triple B. He's a good dude, and appreciate you sending us the old beverages right here for the round on the Triple B, Triple D, or Chowda for those who know. That's his other nickname. Just call him Chowda if you know who Don Triple D is. So thanks for the round there, Triple D. He said that he was really excited to check out our show, and that he's gonna try and keep watching. So thank you. I am very proud of that. So thank you there, Triple D on the Triple B.
Can we put that on like the review like thing, like how like on the movie trailers they're always like and Richard Roper calls it a cinematic masterpiece. Can we just put that? Don D says, I'm going to try to keep watching this. I mean, I think it fits,
I don't know if that's a direct quote though, so I'm gonna have to talk to him and at least see if I can get those words in that order out of his mouth, and then yes, we can put that everywhere. That's going to be the number 1 5-star review on this show. Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep watching.
Yeah.
See if I make it to next week. I don't know.
Yeah. So what are you drinking over there, Kidder? Because I kind of cut you off on that, but that joke was too good to not say it. So
that's okay, because you've already introduced this one a few times. This evening, I'm going with the non-alcoholic butterscotch beer. And again, it's the Flying Cauldron. So thanks for you to bring these to me to give these a shot. Mm-hmm. It's very sweet and oh so smooth. Not a lot of carbonation, which is fine for a cauldron drink. And it leaves a lot of that butterscotch in your mouth there at the end. So, good stuff.
It is. You should try it over some vanilla ice cream.
So you gonna bring that down later?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll have to swing by Walmart and pick some up, because by the time we're done with this, everybody else is gonna be closed. I don't actually have vanilla ice cream on hand, so I guess I could take the snow shovel outside, scoop it. Because I have an ice cream pail, just scoop it into there and just bring that down. That'll work.
It's a little freezer burnt.
Little bit. So,
what do you got on tap there, brother Jake?
Well, in a weird reversal, because usually it's me with the non-alcoholic and you with the alcoholic drink, I am still having a beer tonight. And this one is from the Bent Paddle Brewing Company, and it is part because we took a break off of Howard's suffering through seasonal beers. So we're back. We have the
Just straight suffering last week.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. That's why I sound funny tonight, because it went to my sinuses and just straight killed my sinuses, stomped all over them. So
yeah, if you didn't see last week, go see last week, and especially go check out the YouTube version, because as great as our audio version is, to see the look on our faces as we drank some of those, priceless. Anyway, this is the Snowmaker Pale Ale. That's right, Kidder. I'm drinking an IPA. So,
and you don't have a shovel in your hand, so maybe that's good.
Yeah. This was brewed in Duluth, Minnesota.
Up to Duluth way, huh? Yeah, that's great.
Yep. Here's what we got for a description. Sometimes lake effect snow isn't enough to blanket our thirst. Enter the Snowmaker. Our version of a robust pale ale piles on Centennial and Simcoe hops for a wonderfully groomed bitterness that carves through the malt backbone. Whether you are celebrating... Sorry, it looks like part of the print disappeared. Opera ski or simply kicking back, Snowmaker is the perfect accompaniment to your adventure. So 12 fluid ounces, not floral ounces. Yep. 5.5% alcohol by volume and 40 IBUs. So that's what we got here for description. Yep. Don't see anything else. So let's crack this one open. Oh, yeah, you can smell the hops.
Of course you can.
Oh, yeah.
The Christmas trees are going nuts in Duluth.
I'll always take my beer smelling like hops instead of smelling like tuna fish. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's another reference to last week's episode. So, yeah. Going to be a lot of references to that episode for quite a while, I have a feeling. So, anyway, let's give this a taste. Yeah, you definitely get the hops, but I'm kind of lacking any other real flavors with it, Kidder. There's not like a citrus component. There's not even really like a beer component. Like, I think as most of us know, in our store we have a design based off of a line from the local geek about I'll have a water with hops and grain. That's what this is, Kidder. This is like drinking water with hops. Like there's like no other real like profile to it. Like I get the bitterness of the hops, and that's kind of it. It tastes kind of like water. So
Maybe it's because you're not drinking it outside while you're shoveling and it's 40 below.
I don't know if that would help it, Kidder.
It'd make you get through it faster.
Yeah. No, this is well, we'll suffer through this because even though I enjoy an occasional good IPA, I like mine with a bit more flavor to it. So yeah. So anyway, Kidder, once again, thanking our sponsor for this particular What's on Tap, the Triple D. Thank you and cheers.
So how about one of them there Triple B sports updates? How about that, huh?
Yeah, we could go for one of those.
So this is some damn good news, and it starts off with the Minnesota in the first part of this. So it's kind of like one of them there segues, like the cops in the Mall of America walk on. Then they take it all the way around the Mall of America there. Hey, you know what I'm saying there, Howie?
No.
Sorry.
Mostly because I don't speak Duluth.
Translate from... Gotta translate for you. Sorry. It's one of them there transitions of the speech so that we can talk about hockey involving Minnesota. Kind of like a segue that the security guards at the Mall of America ride around the mall on. So, yeah. Hell of a win. That's what I call it. The Minnesota Mild and your Colorado Avalanche met on Monday in an afternoon matinee match. And it was a pretty darn good game. Avs went up 2-0. The Wild ended up tying it up. The Avs went ahead 3-2, and then the Wild tied it up again. Deadlocked all the way into the shootout. No goals were scored until Mikko Rantanen comes to center ice, grabs the puck, dekes a couple times, shriek right in the net, and the only goal is from Mikko Rantanen. So that was quite the game. Avalanche pulling it off 4-3 in the shootout. Then 2 days later, the Avs take a trip to California, where they went to Anaheim and played the Sucks. And I say that not so lovingly. Now, I want to mention, as we talked about the Monday matinee game, that Pavel Francouz had to come into the game midway through the first period because Darcy Kemper got ran over by a douchebag Minnesota Wild player, wasn't called, and the hit looks pretty dirty. So he was out for that game, and Francouz finished it off, didn't let any shots in for the shootout and everything. So again, that was great on Frankie to do that. So then we go ahead 2 days to the 19th, when the Avs played the Ducks in Anaheim, and Pavel Francouz was the starting goalie for that game as well. This one was a grind win. And the reasoning for it is it was just a dirty hockey game. The plays didn't really develop. It was a lot of back and forth and fumbling in the neutral zone and cutting off different passing lanes and turnover, back and forth. The best thing about this is the Avalanche went up 1-0 and made it till the last 2-3 minutes of the game when Anaheim pulled their goalie to try and get the equalizer. And yes, the Avalanche get the empty net goal, bringing it up to 2-0, and Francouz getting that shutout and being the number one star for that game. An interesting piece to note about that game is it was also Nathan MacKinnon's 600th career game. Also, on the Monday game, Nathan MacKinnon recorded his 600th career point when he scored a goal against the Wild. It's also an interesting thing to note that as of the 19th, MacKinnon is now the 7th player in Avalanche franchise history and the 4th in the Avalanche history. So when you're thinking about that, the franchise as a whole between the Quebec Nordiques and the Avalanche, and so he's at number 7 there. And just for the Avalanche since 96, he is at the number 4 spot of the player to reach 600 points. So hopefully that clarified and makes some sense. Also, with that win, the Avalanche have reached 25 wins on the season in 36 games, faster than any other team in franchise history for the Colorado Avalanche / Quebec Nordiques. So they're on pace to do pretty well. So off of that win, they had a back-to-back in California. That's right. On the 20th, they traveled down to Los Angeles to take on those Kings down yonder. Something to note about this game is it was Tyson Jost's 300th NHL game. So congratulations to Josty, a former Fighting Sioux champion right there. This game was an ESPN game of the night, and it was pretty damn good. I think the Kings were watching some of the footage from the night before because they tried to do a lot of what the Ducks did in killing the different lanes for passing and getting through the neutral zone, and there was a lot of back and forth hockey. Avalanche went up early and maintained the 1-0 lead into the second. The Kings ended up scoring a goal and basically held the Avalanche off a little bit longer, and this was kind of a dirty middle period of the game. Into the third period, Avalanche scored the go-ahead goal, making it 2-1, and then late in the third period, the Avalanche ended up scoring another goal. The Kings pulled their goalie, tried to get an equalizer and equal it up a little bit, and well, that ended up in a no-go for them. Avalanche pick up the W there, 4-1 in Los Angeles. A couple days off, and they play tomorrow, and a few more games ahead by the time that this comes out. So hopefully some more good Avalanche action. The Avs have also won 14 games in a row at home, and they're continuing to set that record. So we'll see how many more home victories they can win, because the record keeps going. As of that, good hockey update there from the Avalanche. I don't even want to talk about the Sioux score tonight in Western Michigan. We're just going to skate past that.
Yeah, it never happened. Never happened. Anyway, Kidder, I just as a quick side tangent, and then I do have something hockey related, kind of tying into this to chat about. But I had to laugh about as you started this update. I don't know about you. I have come to hate how Windows has added this little thing down on the taskbar that usually shows like the weather and such. Because if your mouse comes anywhere near it, it pops up this box. So as you started that update, I happened to scroll through the run sheet, and I just left my cursor go, and I looked at you, and then I looked back, and all of a sudden, there's this big white screen across my run sheet about where all of the text would be, and a little spinning circle. I'm like, oh no, what happened? Did I lose connection? Am I going to disappear from the call? What? And then I'm like, oh, it's that stupid thing. I hate that thing. I have tried to figure out how to remove it off my taskbar because it drives me nuts. Yeah. Okay. Good. Because
would you like to do that now?
No, we don't need to bore people with tech support on here. It's dead.
Maybe there's millions of people. That'll be our breakthrough, and how we get billions of views. How to turn off the news, weather, sports thing widget that Windows added into Windows 10 and Windows 11.
You know what? I'm going to pitch it right now, Kidder, and anybody who is listening to this is like, wait, you're not going to do it now. After we're done recording the main episode, Kidder, then we should record it, and we'll put it out as a special little, Kidder's IT help thing, and put it out like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're curious, because that way then people can go directly to the IT help. But anyway, to get back to the hockey, I'm going to say something a bit controversial, Kidder.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to say it, and I'm sure that there's a gentleman in Iowa who will probably want to come on and dispute this with me. But I think that pulling your goalie to get an extra skater when you're losing is a stupid tactic. And that hardly works.
The Wild, and I absolutely hate having to say this, but the Wild have done it 6 out of 6 games and successful. And even to the point where they came from behind and not only tied it, but they won the game. And we've had a few of those ourselves in the Avs history, especially under Patrick Waugh as a coach. He's like, well, there's 7 minutes left in the third period. Bring him in. Let's go. Let's try this. We need a point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I understand that it works sometimes, but almost every time I've seen it, it tends to end up in the other team scores, and that's that. I mean, I get that, yes, some teams can do it successfully. You are correct. When Patrick Waugh was the coach, he did it successfully. So I'm not saying that it can't be successful, but as many teams try it, because it happens at almost always at the end of every hockey game, it's just, I just don't think it's worth it. I think more times out of 10, and especially since, like, I will give Waugh credit. I mean, he was ballsy enough to say 7 minutes. Yeah, we're going to do it now. The problem is whenever I see it, it's like, well, we got 2 minutes left. We're down. We need 1 goal to tie or 2 goals to even be back in it. Okay, now let's pull them. Like, it's like, how did your power play, team do on the ice this game? If you are like 0 for 5 on the power play, I want to do it. It's like you can't score on the power play. Don't know that the extra skater is going to help. So just it's something that I have thought for a while. I understand teams can win with it, but I see it fail more than I see it succeed. And especially when it's like, hey, it's a regular season game. Yeah. I guess the only thing I can say is that, your record, like, it's not like the other team gets extra points towards their overall record if they beat you by 2 goals versus 1 goal. But I don't know. I just don't see it work often enough. I don't know. Not a fan of pulling the goalie. So there, a controversial take from Howard.
Waiting to see what the lazy goalie himself has to say. So,
well, the
we'll
next
see
time
in
he's
the
on
future.
I was gonna say the next time he's on the show, I'm sure if he has caught this, or we'll bring it up, because I'd be interested for his take on pulling the goalie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something else of controversy lately: wrestling names. It's stupid. Just leave it alone. It's like, no, this guy is suddenly insert name here. Why? Dumb.
A lot of times it's so that the WWE can own the name. And I can get that to a sense, right? I can understand wanting to own the name and the trademark to that. Totally get that. What makes this particular one, I don't know if you heard about this one, Kidder, but there is a wrestler. He's been on NXT now for a while. He was on the UK NXT for a while, and he has actually appeared at a Survivor Series, and this is Walter, he was an indie darling. A lot of people were fans of him until he joined WWE. And then, as I said, they wasted him when he showed up on Survivor Series. It was one of those like, hey, we need somebody from NXT to come in and get beat in like 2 minutes as part of the Survivor Series. Hey, this Walter guy that everybody is like, yeah, about, let's bring him in. It's just those. Anyway, at one of the last NXT shows, at the end of it, they had him, and throughout the whole show, Kidder, they called him Walter. They didn't make any mention of a name change or anything like that. He has his match against Roderick Strong. He wins the match, and they go to announce when he grabs the mic and he goes, I am no longer Walter. I am Gunther. And they didn't give the last name because I think they maybe realized something, because the name that they actually trademarked for him was Gunther Stark, which happens to be, if you do a Google search for Gunther Stark, the name of a prominent Nazi from Nazi Germany.
Whoops.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand there were a lot of Nazis in Nazi Germany, but to have a name that pops up right at the top when you do the Google search means that you were a pretty bad Nazi. So yeah, they named Walter to Gunther, as in Gunther Stark, and trademarking the name of a Nazi. And this just brings to a thing. Hey, if you're ever writing anything or creating a character or anything like that, it always helps to do a simple Google search before you pursue it, So,
and it takes all of 15 seconds. Just do some checking.
Yeah, just to make sure that you're not going to name one of your new wrestlers that you're trying to build after a Nazi, because that's the news that went out with this. It wasn't, oh my gosh, they changed Walter's name. It's the WWE just trademarked the name of a Nazi. So
good job. They're not out of touch.
It's just, I saw that, kid, and I'm just like, oh, we have to talk about that, because that's just terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah. And it's not like it's, been something that's developed in the past 5 or maybe 10 years. It's been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, the whole naming thing is just terrible in itself, where it's like, hey, you're going to have this stupid name. Or, hey, we're going to take your name and you're going to lose your last name. So now you're just, a single name. And yeah. And yet, then it's interesting because you have others like, Dave Bautista, John Cena, that's their name. It's not a trademarked name. Brock Lesnar's the same. So it's just kind of interesting how some of them kind of get away with using their own names and such. It's just interesting. So at least we got away from the pun names, like Isaac Yankem, the wrestling dentist.
I don't know if we ever really got away from them. They're probably still hanging out, and they're on some dartboard when they throw the dart to try and pick a name. I'm sure it's on some list somewhere. Yeah, seems like a good idea. Yeah, let's call him. Your name is Matt Ropes. Why? It sounds great. It's got a lot of balls. Oh, okay. Like Balls Mahoney? Yeah, but we can't use that, so yeah. Okay, thanks.
How about the ever classic one with Steve Austin, Hugh Morris? Although I think that was his actual name. I don't know if you remember that promo.
That's funny. Do you think that's funny?
Just a little bit.
Hugh Morris? Hugh Morris? Is that funny?
Yeah.
Classic.
Mm-hmm. Or like the time that Matt Bloom returned and had previously wrestled as Albert, and they dressed him up like he was some secret new guy from Japan, and they called him Lord Tensai. That was...
And he couldn't speak English anymore, and then everybody just kept chanting, Albert, Albert.
Mm-hmm. Which, him, I got to admit, is a step up from shave your back hair, which was the chant he used to get.
Yeah.
But
at least they remember your name.
Yeah.
Speaking of remembering names, how about a notable character of WWE history and WWE lore? The Undertaker. So, rumor swirling around, and of course by this it's a week old because it has happened already. Undertaker's set to appear at the Rumble. Does he or doesn't he? That's the question. What say you, Howard Blues, teller of fortunes?
I'm gonna hope he doesn't. Truthfully, listen, nothing but respect for the Undertaker and such, but I kind of want him to just move on. Especially if it's in a wrestling capacity. Now, if he's just there and they do something different with him, could be interesting. Like if they put him on commentary during it, could be interesting, could be good. But if it's the whole dressing him up as the gimmick and coming in as an entrant, because the only reason
we'll
I see
find out in a week.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only reason you do that is so that he wins it, and then he goes to Mania and has one more match, and I just don't want to see him wrestle again. Not again because I think he's a bad wrestler or anything like that, but I thought he went out on a very high note with the match against AJ Styles. I worry he comes back and it's a crap match, and and then he feels like he has to come back again and again and again. It's like, I'm kind of okay with him not unless it's, like if he was coming out and he's going to be the manager for somebody, that could be cool. There's a couple like that would be my thing. If he's going to come back, I'd like to see him use them like they do with a lot of the veterans in AEW, if that makes sense. That's my take.
Mm-hmm. Having Arn Anderson get the Glock.
Not that gimmick. That gimmick's stupid, but but coming out and mentoring a young talent. I mean, if you found the right guy and had like the Undertaker mentoring him and having kind of that, I could see that being good. That could be interesting. Be fascinating.
We'll see how it plays out soon. Mm-hmm. Speaking of playing out, you played out some music into your ears.
Yeah. It's we've been doing this, or at least I've been doing this series where I've been reviewing the albums of one of my favorite rock bands, the Struts. And so tonight, Kidder, I have their third album, Strange Days by the Struts. Trying to get it so we don't have quite as bad of a glare. There's the backside of it. So, interesting thing about this album, Kidder, is there's 10 songs on it, and they wrote and recorded the entire album in 10 days. This was written during the pandemic, so unfortunately, the band members actually had problems actually getting together, and so they finally were able to get together for 10 days, and they worked on and recorded this album. They got some interesting collaborations on it. So probably the biggest names that you would find on it, Phil Collen and Joe Elliott of Def Leppard. Tom Morello was with them on a song. So some of the bigger names.
Is Robbie Williams on one of the songs on this album, or was that just a single?
He is on one of the songs. The first one, the lead off, Strange Days. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
see, I've done a little research too, Howie Blues.
Wow. It's almost like someone's a former radio DJ and should be good at this.
Maybe. Music. One of them things there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a couple of notes about this as I've listened through it. The first two songs on it are they're interesting. They're not bad songs, but they're songs about the pandemic. And so because of that, I kind of would question how long they'll last, because they're very clearly about the pandemic, even though they don't say COVID in it. They don't, reference that, but it's very clear. The first one, Strange Days, it really does a nice job of summing up kind of what I think all of us felt and the pandemic was hitting, and we're starting to deal with lockdowns and not being able to find things on the shelves and things like that and such. The second one, All Dressed Up with Nowhere to Go, which is, again, about being in lockdown and not being able to go anywhere. They're good songs. The only real kind of thing that I have against them is, again, I don't know how long lasting they'll be. Once, if 10 years down the road, if Corona is no longer a thing, I don't know. The rest of the album, it's not bad. Their song Wild Child with Tom Morello, you can definitely tell that he's playing with them. It's very much got that Rage Against the Machine sound to it, which is okay, but wasn't my favorite song on here. The other critique that I will have throughout all of this, especially kind of in the middle portion of the album. They took and they over processed Luke Spiller's vocals throughout. Like it sounds on some songs like he's going through a bad like filter. Like they were trying to do like the old like radio style filter on some of it, but it's not great. So it sounds, it has how it can have that kind of digital sound to it. And because of that, his vocals lose some of the power to them. And so there are a couple of songs on here, Kidder, where it's really hard for me to make out what he is saying because the bass and the drum and the guitar are just drowning him out, which is sad because he's got an amazing voice and can produce amazing vocals. So this is just, to me, it's over-engineered, over-processed on some of these, which was kind of a sad note to it. But otherwise, I like quite a few of the songs on here. I especially like the last one, Am I Talking to the Champagne? That's a good one. I liked that one a lot. So it overall a decent album. One other kind of thing I wanted to say on the whole Struts. Last week I talked about their album Young and Dangerous, and I was a little harsh on that. And in putting, I think, the episode before that together, episode 41, I talked about how you could find the Struts Lollapalooza performance out there, and I put that in the show notes. But I also found they performed at Lollapalooza Brazil in 2019, and of course that's in the show notes there. I'll put that in here. And they played a lot of the songs from Young and Dangerous at that show, and I listened to that. And I have to admit, they won me over on some of the songs that I'd kind of given a meh to on it. I will say this for sure. The Struts are a much better live band than they are an album band. And I would stand by that. I think that if you want to really enjoy the Struts, go see them live. If you they have songs that, yes, they do play well on the album, but it doesn't quite always carry over quite that. It's amazing. Their live performances just, it looks fun, Kidder. They're on the list of bands I want to see live because they just are having so much fun with it. And I mean, even that concert in Brazil, like you can tell, like it was hot. Like the guys are just dripping sweat like halfway through the first song. Like it's hot. But they didn't stop. They didn't they gave it their full performance on that. And you see them, they do a little interview afterwards, and you can just tell that they're just like, ugh, we're drained. That was a long set. That was hot out there. So. But yeah, a great band to see live. If you get a chance to see them live, I'd highly recommend it. And again, check out the links in the show notes and get a better taste of the Struts. But overall, it's an okay album. It's not a perfect album. I like some of the songs on it. Oh, and what was number 7? Because we always look at that song and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's a song called "Burn It Down." No, not the one for Seth Rollins. And if the fact that I can hardly remember it, I think that was one of the over-processed ones where you lose Luke Spiller's vocals. So, yeah. So that is my review of the Struts' Strange Days. And unfortunately brings us to an end of Howard reviewing the Struts. I'm going to have to find a new band to review.
For now. They'll come out with some more new stuff next 6 months, so we'll be back at it when they do. There's new Shinedown coming out soon. In fact, obviously by the time this comes out, the new single will be available for streaming and whatnot, so I hope it doesn't suck. So there's that. I'm just saying. I mean, Shinedown's got a lot of great music, and I love listening to their older stuff. Like when they first came out, Leave a Whisper, just fantastic music. I just remember every time I hear that, it's like the first time I heard it. Just, man, the chords hitting. Just love listening to Leave a Whisper and Fly from the Inside, track number 1 off of that album. And then you keep rolling forward and you get The Sound of Madness, and that was a fantastic album. And then you start getting into now Attention and you're really pumping out the singles for radio, and they're the cookie cutter type songs, and I just don't really like it. You lose that originality, in my opinion. And Pop Evil was a band that had the same thing happen to them, where their older songs, fantastic, and then they got into, again, the mid 20 teens, and it's radio single, and you hear the same flipping song over and over and over again, and I don't want to hear it again. I hear, here's a new song from them. Turn it off. So hopefully they don't suffer from that fate again. But let's move on, shall we? Like moving across a country in a straight line. You've been following these jagoffs for months. And about the time that it's taken them to try and get across a damn country in a straight line, you've been following them the whole way. Howard Blues, our correspondent on the ground in Bismarck via YouTube. What is happening with these jagoffs now?
Yeah, so again, for anyone who's just tuning in, if this is your first episode of Beer, Blues, and BS, welcome. I've been following the adventures of a YouTuber, Geo Wizard, as he is on his third attempt to try to walk across Wales in a straight line. And I talked a little bit about this last week, in the fact that he had a bad ankle injury, had some problems with his GPS, and instead of camping along the line that he has done on all of his other attempts, he went back to his hotel for a day of rest and such. And it led to this question of, is this a success? So in this week's episode, he did finish. He made it with his brother to the coast in Wales. And he did kind of address it. He said, I'm counting this as a victory, but it's kind of a hollow victory. It wasn't a pure run. I did it. I technically I walked across Wales in a straight line, but it's not the purest run that I want to have, which I'll give him credit. I think that's a fair way to look at it. And I think he's kind of saying that because I think he's so done with Wales and trying to get across it. It's, as I said, this is his third attempt. He's had just terrible luck with it, and such. And it was one of those things. He left it at the end of it kind of as a cliffhanger as he went to retrieve, because his strategy is to stash stuff kind of both before the trip and then on the trip. So like his garbage and things like that. So he's just not leaving it in somebody's field. He'll stash it, he'll hide it. And then after they complete it, he has to go back and he will pick up all of his trash and such, so that he's not wasting that. And as he did the last one, he gets in the car afterwards and he goes, well, I think I just ran across my last field. Kind of hinting that he might be done with the whole straight line challenge. But he kind of then cliffhangered it and go out, well, maybe. So we'll see if he ever tries this again. And if he does, I'll be watching. A good humorous bit from the fourth episode, Kidder, that I just had to share, because we talked about this on a previous attempt. He had to cross a railroad line, and he got in trouble with the English Transportation Authority for that and had to cut that section out of his video. He had to cross a railroad line again in this one, and this time it was great because they showed him approaching and he cuts back and they're on the other side. He goes, and we teleported across this railroad line, kind of hinting at, well, we crossed it magically. You just didn't see it. So, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So, but it's a good watch. And I will say, because I have been watching some others, people who have attempted this challenge after seeing his videos, I will say, he does a nice job with his filming, his music, editing. I think he could cut a little bit more from sometimes, because especially in his earlier series, it gets a little repetitive with some of the things. But I will say he does a nice job. At least it feels good to watch. Unlike the one that I talked about last week, with the 4 college students who are walking in a straight line from their apartment to a dam in Idaho, who spent the whole time with their camera angle basically at the ground, looking at their feet. So instead of getting to see the beautiful scenery of Idaho, you're just seeing feet. I did finish that one, Kidder. I know I said I didn't know if I would. I finished it. I have an issue though, Kidder, and that is they end it as they camp for the first night. And they're like, join us, in part 2. They never posted a part 2, Kidder. So I don't know if they ever made it. As far as I know, they're still camping in the woods. What makes it even more upsetting is towards the end of that video, as they're crossing a farm, this poor farmer's dog comes out and greets them and is so excited and follows them. And because they're trying to stick to this line, they don't try to return the dog. So as far as I know, they kidnapped some farmer's dog because the dog followed them all the way to their campsite, like 2 hours away. So as far as I know, they stole somebody's dog. So beyond trespassing, they stole a dog. Yeah, and I don't know what happened because they haven't posted another video in like 2 years. So did they ever make it to the dam? Are they still camping in the woods? Do they still have Molly the dog? These are questions, Kidder. These are questions.
Maybe they got arrested.
I will say the guy
posted another video. They're in jail.
Well, the guy who owns the channel, there was one other video like after that, which was all about living in a van in Idaho. So he's living the van life. So I don't know what that tells you, but anyway, so that one was a huge disappointment. I have found a couple other ones, and I might check them out depending on how I feel. And if I do, I will report back about them so that you can all join me in this wonderful obsession of watching people who do not put a lot of thought or effort or have ever been around sheep trying to walk in straight lines across country and not get caught trespassing. It's that
was bad.
Hey, it's amazing how many of them are scared of animals that can appear. I watched one, Kidder, and I hate to even bring it up because it was terrible. It's terrible. It was some YouTuber. I don't even want to give his name because I don't want him to get any more views because it was terrible. He walked across Liechtenstein. Oh my gosh, Kidder, I wanted to bang my head against the desk wall. To quote the blues, classic blues song, put my head on an abandoned rail line and let the 229 ease my mind. Yeah, if you've ever watched like the people who are trying too hard at YouTube, this is mostly a generation kind of younger than us, where it's like, hey guys, today we're it's that, but it's just, he's constantly trying to make references to show like, I'm in on the culture. Hey, I'm walking through the woods. This reminds me of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. You know, he has a GPS unit that he's following, but yet he feels the need to stop and ask everybody he runs across, hey, is this the way to Vault? I forget the city he's going to, you know, but is this the way to there? Is this the way? And all of them go, well, you want to, you know, and the people in Liechtenstein, that's like the one saving grace is like how kind and nice they are. They're like, well, you want to head like 2 miles down that way and get on the bus to go there. He's like, oh no, man, I'm doing a straight line. It's like, why are you asking people? They're, you know, so he's bugging people with that. He's his big thing, like to try and build drama, because he chose a pretty small country that was pretty flat and not a lot of obstacles, is he keeps building up this fear of bears. Like he gets to like a section of trees, like there could be bears here. Like, no, you are like a little way, like I can still see the village that you left behind you. Yeah, you know, it was pretty bad. It was pretty terrible, and had one of those terrible like clickbait thumbnails where it like showed him and he's like, you know, and it's like day 13. He did it in a day, kidder. Like he probably got to the city he was going to, hopped on the bus, went back to his hotel. You know, it's just it was terrible. I refuse to give him any more credit than that, except that one was awful. And yeah, ugh.
Wonderful. Ugh. Just what we need. More bad YouTube.
It was as painful as drinking this watery IPA.
I'm glad you're almost done. The question I have for you, though, I'm guessing the next topic deals with YouTube in some form.
It does. It does. Because, you know me, I love a good controversy. And I got one for you, kidder. I actually got two for you, kidder. Two controversies.
A twofer, and it's not even Tuesday. Twofer Tuesday on a Friday.
Yep. Yeah, no, I got controversy, kidder. So I'll place. I know we have them on the run sheet in a list. Do you want to continue on the YouTube theme, or do you break up? Palette cleanser from YouTube.
Oh, let's keep going. Let's YouTube controversy, and then we got more controversy. Let's just hit it hard. Hard hitting right here in a triple B.
Yeah. So, Kidder, I don't know if you've heard about this, but on YouTube, there has been a problem, and it's been going on for about a year or two, with false copyright claims. And it's a scam. Basically, because of how YouTube operates and their copyright content ID rules and all of that, it's very possible for somebody to put a claim on your video and steal your monetization from that. And it's interesting. I've been following this a little bit, in a couple of interesting cases. One by a YouTuber called Smelly Octopus. He actually had somebody copyright claim his voice. So Mr. Octopus had gotten a new microphone. He wanted to test some filters and things like that to get his audio clear. So he just did a stream on YouTube, you know, doing kind of the basic, you know, hello, mic check, 1, 2, hello, mic check. How's this sound? You know, just kind of that sort of stuff. And somebody took and claimed like a 30-second clip out of that of him going, hello. Now, the thing about this is that when somebody puts a copyright claim on there, if you appeal it, you go, hey, I'm gonna appeal this. No, I am able to use this. What happens is you fill out that form, it goes to the claimant, so whoever claimed that you stole their material, and they get to decide whether you get to use it or not. So a lot of times what happens then is, if you are a scammer in this case, you say, no, I reject that. And the reason is because you can appeal the rejection, but it also goes to the person who claimed it. And again, if they deny that, now your channel can get a copyright strike, and that can be bad for any channel. So it's kind of a way to hold channels, especially small channels, hostage, because you're afraid of getting a copyright strike and losing everything with it. So in this case, with Smelly Octopus, it was a false thing. It was basically a bad automated content ID system went through and recognized in that, and he was able to clear that one up. This next one, though, Kidder, is interesting. Another YouTuber by the name of The Fat Rat. He makes music. He's a musician, and he puts his songs out on YouTube and makes them available for people to use, to make their own bootlegs, to sample, things like that. He's very generous about it. And he had a song called The Calling that it racked up like 47 million views. So really a pretty big hit for him. And he had a company claim his song. And this is one of those, like, it is his song. Like, he has all the proof that it's his song, that he wrote it. So he, talked to YouTube. They're like, well, you need to file a claim. He did that. And of course, the person claimed it's like, no. We're not going to accept your appeal. He continued to push, and what he learned was that the people who claimed it was claiming it on behalf of another musician who, here's the best part, Kidder, had sampled a bit of Fat Rat's music for his own song. And so Fat Rat reached out to that musician and said, hey, did you write this? And the guy wrote back, no, it's, it's clearly, he's like, I sampled your song because you allowed that. And not only that, but the musician also said, and I'm not even represented by these guys. I don't have a contract with them, nothing like that. And Fat Rat took that to YouTube, and YouTube still is like, nope, we're not getting involved. You're going to have to figure out how to settle it with this company. So basically, this company basically has stolen his song that had gotten 47 million views. What got me on this, Kidder, is interesting is this week, episode 42 drops of our show. And guess what? We had a copyright claim on it. And it was for, we showed a clip of the Cale Makar overtime goal that you were talking about. And here's the thing, Kidder. It was claimed on behalf of the NHL from a company that I can only tell you is Russian, because it was a Russian company.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So clearly somebody who had picked up that we had in the tags or whatever put NHL, Cale Makar, all sorts of stuff, like that, like we do to try and get people to see. But kind of knowing a bit about this copyright claim scam, it's like, there's one, silly Russians, we don't make any money. You're not getting nothing off of claiming ours. But two, it's like, there's no point in me trying to fill out the form and send it, because they're just going to deny it and all of that. So what I ended up doing, Kidder, was I basically took the video off, did a little editing, little tweaking, kept a couple of tags off, and re-uploaded the video. And it didn't get claimed this time, but it was definitely somebody trying to basically file a false copyright claim on us for that. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's like, this does happen. It's something we have to watch out for. And it's just silly that somebody thinks they're going to get money off of us. So.
Yeah. Maybe next millennia. I don't know. Anyway, well, that's the joy of YouTube, and we're still looking for that 1,000th subscriber to get us on the monetization platform. So if you'd like to tell your friends to join our channel, click subscribe, please. Please subscribe to us. Click the subscribe button right now, please, and share it with your friends. Sharing is caring.
Share the
So-
misery together.
That's what we're here for. Make you feel better about yourself. Speaking of feeling better, how about some more controversy?
Yeah, I got one last one. Boy, I feel like I've done a lot of talking, not a lot of drinking. Anyway, that's okay. You'll make up for it. I see what the end of the run sheet is. Kidder, there's a Kickstarter that I backed a while ago. And it has kind of had a lot of people upset about it. And enough so that I thought it's worth talking, because I'm in a group on Facebook about this game, and it's like, for this whole week, it's like every day somebody posts in there about how this game is a scam. I want a refund. The game's never coming out. So I wanted to talk about it. The game is called Hell, The Last Saga. And it is a narrative cooperative game. And what I mean by narrative is there's a whole story to it. In it, you are playing as a group of Vikings who land on this mysterious island and are searching for the other half of your clan who had sailed out before you. And so you get to explore this island, trying to find out what happened to them. At the same time, discovering the mysteries of this island. There's a horror theme based to it, by the good folks over at Mythic Games, who just recently I backed their Kickstarter for Monster Apocalypse. So I have supported their games. Mythic always catches a little bit of flack because of kind of how their business model is set up, where they have kind of a group that's kind of developing the game, then they kickstart it, then they kind of continue to do the R&D on it, and the finalizing and the manufacturing and such. And it can take a while on some of this. And so people get a little upset that they say, hey, yeah, you'll get this game in a year. And it's been a while. In fact, I just received notification for, I'm getting the second half of the game Solomon Kane from Mythic Games. Back that in 2018. So gives you an idea. It was like the third game they put on Kickstarter. So they were a bit behind on that one. Anyway, I backed it, one, because I don't really have a narrative game in my collection, where, again, as you're going, you're doing things, you're having to pick up a book, you have to read, which I know doesn't sound that appealing, but it can be fun. I don't have a big narrative game like this. The other part of it was that, being a miniature painter, I was really excited by the miniatures in this game. They just have a really cool aesthetic that I thought were just amazing. So I'll just kind of sharing my screen here a little bit, showing off some of these miniatures. You can see some of the heroes that you play here, and some of the monsters and evil things that you face. Yeah, it has some very lovely dark art to it. Overall, really excited. There's kind of a better view of everything that comes in it and such. Overall, really, really excited for it. And I'm happy to wait for it. But yeah, there are a lot of people online who are very upset that this game has not come out yet. People don't have it, and such. So it's kind of interesting. And a lot of people who backed this game are now, as Mythic is kickstarting other games. These guys are going in, backing those games for $1 just so that they can, in the comments, just beat up on Mythic about these practices, and have called them a scam, all of those things, which I don't really think they are. Also, Hell was kickstarted before the pandemic, and being that Mythic Games is out of France, they had some very strict COVID protocol rules, and that had an effect on their ability to produce this game, and such. Not to make excuses for them, but it's like you have to look at the wider picture. It's a different world and such than when this game was backed. So all that just to say, it's something I'm following. I'm still excited for it, and I'm okay with them taking their time as long as it eventually gets here, because those miniatures will be fun to paint. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, just a fun little Kickstarter controversy, you know. Yeah.
Glad to see that you're still up on all of the kickstarting and the kickstarting of controversy. So look forward to more updates over the next 6 years before you get the set that you ordered 4 years ago.
Yeah, luckily I don't have too many games that are left outstanding at the moment, which I'm happy for, and because I've been backing less and less stuff, you know, which I'm okay with. I'm kind of glad to kind of slow that process down. It was getting, at its worst, it was kind of getting to the point where I was having problems keeping track of, like, did I fill out the pledge manager for this? I don't know. Did I? Can't recall. So I'm kind of okay with kind of slowing down the collection bit, and hopefully getting into more things like painting and such, trying to get back into making that more of a regular thing. So I know my painting desk looks clear. Most of the stuff I have that I'm painting are up over here. You can kind of see the pill bottles a little bit, the camera. There's stuff on there that I've started. I just haven't had the time to finish. So, yeah.
That's how it goes. I get it.
Yeah.
Something that I'm happy is almost finished is the premiere of Star Trek Picard Season 2. I've only been waiting over a year for Season 2 to finally arrive. They're just like being super slow about it. So what I have to share, I don't want to share the entire, shall we say, trailer, because the new trailer was released today for Season 2. Here's just a screen cap of the trailer right at the beginning, as you can see, 5 seconds into the trailer. Now, what I'm excited for about this is that it appears whomever has done the digital designing has brought back some of my favorite ships from the first Contact era of Star Trek. If you look at the top two ships, so the left of center and then top center, those two ships are Nova class ships, or what appear to be in this somewhat low resolution screenshot of the video. The other one that's shooting phaser beams toward the La Serena is what appears to be a Steamrunner class ship. And like I said, that one from specifically the movie Star Trek First Contact. The Nova class ships that you see, if they are indeed, were premiered in Star Trek Voyager. So, in fact, the episode two-parter called The Equinox. And then the Rhode Island class, which is a refit of the Equinox, was in the Voyager series finale Endgame. Anyway, if you take a look at the different elements of each ship. The Broussard collectors look a little deeper red than what they did in Voyager, First Contact, Deep Space Nine, etc. Then you look a little bit closer as well, and the deflector dishes are also red. Now, an interesting thing with that is in the normal series, if you will, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, even Enterprise, the Federation's deflector dishes are blue. So, just doing a little deep analysis here, I am guessing, and there's a lot of other stuff, hints, clues, if you will, to say that they have gone to the mirror universe. Is it true? I don't know. We'll see on March 3rd when the first episode actually premieres. There's also some interesting things in this video about them going and doing a slingshot around the sun that you see in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, which then continues to lead me to believe that not only do they go back in time, but they cross over into the alternate universe, the mirror universe, one of many infinite ones. Other pieces of interest within the trailer. Obviously, Picard is still there. The Borg Queen shows up several times in the trailer. Q shows up in the trailer, which is actually the reason why Brother Nico doesn't want to watch this season. I guess I'll skip a season. And in this first trailer, the official first trailer for season 2, Whoopi Goldberg returns and reprises her role as Guinan. So, I'm guessing because Q and Guinan don't like each other, they've known each other apparently for quite some time, and they broke the universe. So, we'll see what happens. I am interested to see if they've improved. If they hold true to that screenshot and keep the ships how they're supposed to be, then I'm going to enjoy it a little bit more than I did last season when they, ripped off the Discovery ships because they were lazy for the most part and did some other stupid, lazy writing and things. So hopefully we'll get some really good Star Trek.
I'm just going to throw out an alternative theory why the deflector dishes are red instead of blue. I think it's because they're hinting at a crossover. Mm-hmm. Star Trek meets red versus blue. Yeah.
I don't know if we can afford the rights for that.
I don't think we can either. I had to say it because I knew I would either get you to facepalm or laugh. One of the two. Either way, good for me. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, no kidding. I know that season 2 is taking forever because when I was reading the run sheet and I saw this and it says, Star Trek Picard season 2 trailer premiere, and I'm like, wait, gosh, wasn't the teaser trailer like I could have sworn that the teaser trailer came out about the same time we started this show.
Probably, yeah.
So 44 weeks ago was when that premiered. So yeah.
So here's just a different angle that is in the videos. You can see it's 3 seconds into the teaser trailer here. The backside of the 2 of the ships anyway, and then you can see a close-up shot of the 3rd, and those definitely look like Nova class ships chasing the La Serena. So I like the visuals.
Yeah, although they need to talk to J.J. Abrams. That lens flare is kind of weak on that,
I was hoping to get rid of this so then we can actually see what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see some of the lens flare effects in there. It's just, yeah, it's kind of weak. They really need to talk to Abrams about how you do that successfully.
No, I'm taking it away. Taking it away. No. No talking to Abrams.
But the lens flares.
Okay, you wanna flare courtesy of CBS, Paramount Plus. Here's a flare for you. A flare for the dramatic. Yes, that's the sun with a solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that leads me to believe they're going to do a slingshot around the sun and go back in time. I mean, partially because they also say that they go back in time in there, but that's how I think they're actually going to do it this time.
Do you think they're going to be stuck back in time, or are they eventually going to get back to the future?
Well, damn it, Marty, we got to go back. So I'm guessing they'll get back. And with the Borg Queen being in there, I'm also guessing that that there'll be some shenanigans with the Borg. The Borg were able to teleport themselves through time as well, make a temporal incursion. So I'm curious to see where they go with this, and I hope that it's not a flaming pile of dog poo. So there's that. Other interesting pieces. I mean, we'll put the video in the trailer so you can actually take a look for yourself and see what you think of the Picard Season 2 official trailer. What are your thoughts? Leave us a comment below and hit that subscribe button, please. In other television news, we're a few weeks in, but this series is really interesting. And I don't remember if I talked about it. Don't remember if we talked about it off the show, but Around the World in 80 Days. Yes, there have been numerous movies and television shows done about the classic novel over the years, but now BBC has taken the project on and has written into a television series featuring my favorite doctor, David Tennant. So, this series in the US is airing on PBS during their Masterpiece Theater. And so far, 3 episodes in, it's very interesting. Having seen different adaptations of the movie or television shows, of the book, this is somewhat of a modern take with it's still set in the correct time period. So I like what they've done with it so far, and being able to see the characters develop is really interesting. Doing different twists on what the book is about. And in fact, you can see it for free if you have Prairie Public. I think it's also on some of the other television services like Hulu or whatnot, but I'm sure you'll just do a nice internet search, or provided the link directly to the show page from PBS. So those of you listening or watching this in the US can check that out in the show notes as well. But I have enjoyed it so far, and the soundtrack is pretty good too. Hans Beimler was the composer for the soundtrack. So,
no.
Did we talk about it? I don't remember.
We haven't talked about it. I had seen. I don't want to say I've seen a trailer for it, but I had seen something with Tennant talking about Around the World in 80 Days. And I know the first reaction I had was to roll my eyes and go, oh, not another one. Because it's one of those stories that has been done in various movies, various TV shows. It's been done. So it's kind of like the Christmas Carol. Like that story has been done to death. This is another one that's been done to death. And so I even with David Tennant being in it, I wasn't like, woo, gotta go see it. But hearing that you're enjoying it, okay, moves it up. I'll maybe check it out if I find time. Which is always the struggle to find time.
Yeah, the nice thing is they're, not quite hour episodes. They're maybe 35-minute episodes with PBS, no commercials, maybe 40, I guess. So they're nice episodes to watch. The filmography is really good, and it's crystal clear, high definition. So even more exciting. But yes, I agree with the Christmas Carol stories. Just leave it alone. It's fine. So that's all I have on the television end of things for the moment. Unless you want to talk about Peacemaker. Do you feel like talking about wrestling and DC Comics combining?
Well, I mean, it's the spin-off series from the second Suicide Squad movie, starring John Cena this time around.
Picks up where that leaves off.
Yeah, and I did not see the second Suicide Squad movie, just because I don't get to movies
right
these days.
It's better than the first one that was done like a year and a half before that.
Yeah, and I'd seen that one, which was enough to like skip Birds of Prey, which was the next one that had
Margot
Robbie's Harley Quinn. I was interested to see this one. I mean, being that it was directed by James Gunn, I like some of his other work, including Guardians of the Galaxy and such. So it's on my list to eventually, if I can catch it. And then, this series. So I have an interest in seeing it, but it's not a burning desire. I'm guessing you've checked out some of Peacemaker, Kidder.
Yes. So obviously watched the movie, the Suicide Squad .2, I guess. And then we stumbled upon it at the end of last week. And they released 3 episodes of the season right away. And then Thursdays, they release an additional episode. So we watched the first 4 episodes. John Cena drops the F-bomb in the first 3 episodes 147 times. That's just John Cena. The other characters are dropping the F-bomb too, here and there. In the 4th episode, I don't want to say we lost count, but it's somewhere between 20 and 60. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, in the series, I believe James Gunn is having a large part in, if he's not directing it, but at least being
he wrote and directed it.
Yeah, and I think that there is a lot of him kind of rebelling against Disney with this in it, because like the Marvel films, like you get one, right? You get one. There's always like one swear word in each of the Marvel movies. Like you get one and such. So I think there's a little bit more freedom with this, which I think is part of why, and I think it's pretty well known that he's not returning to with Disney or doing any of the Marvel movies after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He's done. And I think that's part of it. I think that when you work with Disney, you are kind of stuck to their structure, their rules and such. And I think he's kind of ready to go and do his own thing. So,
hey, you're gonna do this, ha! I'm gonna tell you what to do, ha! You're gonna like it, ha! Ha!
Well, I mean, I get it and I understand it. It's that reputation thing. You gotta keep it, family friendly so that, because you better believe, as big as the Marvel movies are, part of that is because, you can take the kids and it's a safe movie. There's not drugs. There's some violence, but it's cartoon superhero violence, and there's not, sex and swearing and, things like that. It's safe. I know there's some stuff in the Eternals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
unnecessary.
Hey,
But in Peacemaker, there's all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that. So go check it out. And Howie Blues one of these days in fact, maybe I'll just show you the intro to it. And then you can sit there with the WTF look on your face like I did when I saw it for the first time as well.
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to get much reaction. I kind of know a bit about it and such. So it's,
yeah. Well, I knew Peacemaker's John Cena character, how he portrayed him from the movie. And then when this intro popped up, I was like, okay. So something for you to look forward to.
All right. Well, Kidder, we've been talking. I can't say this for a while. It feels like we haven't talked nearly as long as we have in the past. But, we've hit the bottom of the run sheet. And I guess that means all we got left is cheap plugs.
It's only been 2 hours. Time flies when you're having fun here, right? So let's do some of them there plugs. First of all, join us on our web home, please. beerbluesbs.com. beerbluesbs.com. Again, beerbluesbs.com right here in the bottom of your screen. And if you're listening to this, it's in the show notes underneath the description there. So please join us, beerbluesbs.com. You can buy us a beer right there on the website. Give us a comment and we'll read your comment on this here show. Aside from that, you can get the link to the YouTube page, the Facebook page, the Spotify page, all of that right there, beerbluesbs.com. And most importantly, the merch store link is also right there at beerbluesbs.com. Yes, you can get some awesome swag. So many people are checking it out that it's just crazy. And we want you to be one of them. By going to beerbluesbs.com, click on merch, and you can see some of the sweet new designs on the Triple B store. The hottest threads on the internet. I don't get it, but you can at beerbluesbs.com. Click on merch. Other than that, like us on Facebook, please. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And any of the audio services that you're listening to us on, you can click subscribe and get the notification or an email or whatnot when the new episode hits or surprises you, just like Howard's Cave of Wonder. It can do that as well. Click the subscribe button, please. Doesn't cost you anything either, and that's the best kind of free. Right there, beerbluesbs.com, or on Facebook, or on YouTube, or on any of these following platforms like Google Podcasts from Google Play, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, Stitcher, TuneIn, IMDb, and Player FM. So if you have an audio service or an audio account that you like, search Beer Blues BS because we are probably on there. Beer Blues and BS. It's the top quality show that you could take with you anywhere, anytime. So for Howard Blues, I am the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Kidder. Thanks for joining us again for this edition of Beer Blues and BS. We'll see you again next time here on the big show. Remember to keep your glass at least half full. There's free beer tomorrow, and we will catch you on down that dusty Tuscan highway. Take care, and we'll see you then.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
I think we got an episode. I mean,
All
a
right.
little questionable. I mean, there wasn't a shout out to Lane. We didn't make fun of the gentleman from Indiana. We kind of slacked a little bit on this one.
Well, that's what this part's for.
Well,
Adding it in post.
Well, yeah, except now you called it out. I mean, that's like spiking the camera. Like, I was hoping for just some banter back and forth and we could just plop it in like that. But now you called it out. And now when it shows up at behind the curtain, everybody's going to be like, well, yeah.
Well, let's banter some more then, so then we can trim that and put it at the end.
Yeah, except
They'll
that
never
was
know
now,
it's coming.
except for like when like we jump a little bit. Here, let me even just like there. I moved the camera a bit.
Oh no! Oh, he's screwing it up.
Continuity problems.
This is what happens when Howard gets his hands on technology. The damn thing's sideways and he's going all over the place now.
You know, I was kind of half tempted throughout. I thought about it earlier and then I kind of forgot during the episode. I was going to try and constantly kind of move things like while you were talking, like on my set and background, just to see how many of them Lane noticed throughout the whole thing. Like every time it cut back, like something was different, just to see if you pick up on it. But I forgot.
That's okay. I got you covered.
It'll be all right. There's been some slight changes.
Yeah.
The other
about nothing.
Yeah. Or, you know, Kidder, the fact is that maybe we did actually slightly make changes throughout this whole episode. And we're just saying it now to see if Lane goes back. He'll have to go back because maybe we made changes. And the only way he's going to find out is to rewatch the entire episode and keep an eye out.
At least he watches these things, unlike a certain gentleman from Indiana.
Yeah. That is true. That is true.
I even tagged him on this week's episode drop. Even tagged him in it.
Yeah, I called him out in the description too.
Yeah. So, if you're not going to watch the show or come on the show, we'll bring the show to you. Yeah. You're going to get tagged in this shit now. Yeah. How do you like that? You're going to have some Beer, Blues, and whatever show tagging your ass on Facebook and all the rest of these places because we're bringing the pain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do still have that race going on. You know, I mean, that doesn't start until, well, for us next week. But by the time this comes out and people see this part, it's been a week. Neither one has reached out yet, which how could they? Because again, that episode isn't out yet. Time travel. But
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. And on top of that, what if Lane skippity skips right over the toppity top of the whatity what and doesn't even know what he knows until he knows when he goes back?
I called it out in the time codes. So if he's reading the time codes, although it is still kind of vague, but it's there. It's there. So
Perfect.